Alright, hello everyone, welcome to your New York City Crime News video for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. It's the Ides of March coming up tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day, and the crime epidemic is still out of control, and we have a lot to get into, obviously, but of course, let's go to the part of the video where I have to bash New York One Spectrum News again. Here we go again with them not covering crime. Look at their homepage. And they have reforming NYPD. I mean, this is ridiculous. Nothing about crime. Legalizing marijuana. I mean, give me a break. We have a real crime problem. Let's just check public safety. Take a look at public safety. Let's see. Did they at least mention anything about the woman who was shot in Woodside over the weekend? Because that was a sad story. You know, that... Literally, that happened over the weekend. Okay, good. At least they, had something about it. Like, is there a video about... No, they don't even have a video about it. They don't even have a video about it. Alright, so, there was 2 other shootings in Queens. I'll get into that. I'm not going to read the New York One article. But at least New York One brought it up. Because that was a sad story over the weekend. A woman got... mother got shot in Woodside over the weekend. I do want to lead off with some good news today. If you don't remember, a couple weeks ago, I talked about this awful story in Brooklyn where a dog got stabbed at a park. The good news is we have an arrest. So, can we cue the Law and Order music? That's what I want to hear. Okay. So, the first good... Well, this is the only good story I have. Police have arrested alleged Fort Greene Park dog stabber. So this is an incident that happened back in February. The police have finally nailed a suspect. Okay. So, the Brooklyn paper had a funny thing here. To the dog pound. Police have cuffed a notorious ruffian who allegedly stabbed a dog in Fort Greene Park on February 20th, according to authorities. Prosecutors charged the accused canine knife for 61-year-old Stephen Horn on March 4th for aggressive animal cruelty, menacing, criminal possession of a weapon, and injuring an animal, according to the Brooklyn District Attorney. This arrest almost came 2 weeks after Horn, a Clinton Hill resident, stabbed a 3-year-old Great Dane and a Bernese Mountain Dog mix named Bandit while walking his furry companion at the green space during off-leash hours. Bandit's owner, who spoke in the condition of anonymity for fear of retribution, said that Horn whipped out a pocket knife after Bandit began to approach his dog, a Bendaji named Rex that Bandit had met before. So, obviously, we know the story. I don't want to get into, it was just a sad story to get into. I don't want to recap it, but the main thing is, suspect has been nabbed. Thank goodness. This is the guy who was wanted for stabbing that dog in Brooklyn. And again, I will mention Channel 7 did do a story about this when it first broke. So, kudos to WABC at least. So we're going to get into this development that happened overnight. There was a shooting in an apartment in Jackson Heights actually, it happened on Sunday, but it first broke last night, the story. And Channel 2 actually was the one that first reported it. So, we'll watch the video in a second. But I want to read the, headline here. It says, shocking video shows gunman opening fire into an apartment in New York City. So this happened in Jackson Heights. Once again, Channel 2 did break this. So it says here, police are looking for a man who opened fire in an unoccupied apartment in Queens early Sunday morning on March 14th. The shooter was caught on surveillance camera firing 2 bullets at the Jackson Heights building near 91st Street and 35th Avenue just before 4 in the morning. One of the bullets pierced the window and became lodged into the ceiling of an apartment that had people inside, police said. Oh, look how graphic this is. You could definitely tell this is a handgun right here. The way it's shaped, definitely a handgun. The other bullet struck the outside of the building. Thankfully, nobody was injured. So it says 2 women in the building, aged 23 and 25, and a 20-year-old man were inside the apartment building at the time. So, thankfully, nobody was injured. Thank goodness. It says, again, thankfully nobody was injured. But we do have a video of the incident. So here we go. This is the suspect opening fire. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. See? Yep, there's the second shot. Really? At 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, at least he was wearing a mask. See, that's a smart criminal right there, but they got him on tape, so I'm assuming that they'll probably catch the guy. So we know the drill. Anybody with information can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS 8477. In Espanol, 888. Hang on, let me just make sure I have the number here. 888-577-7472. You can also submit a tip on the Crime Stoppers website at nypdcrimestoppers.com or on Twitter at nypdtips. So I'll quickly go into this here. Cop seeks assailant who slashed a man in Woodside. So what is going on in Woodside lately? There was a shooting over the weekend, and then we have a stabbing. Let's see. I don't know if this is Roosevelt Avenue. Oh, this is Roosevelt Avenue. Yes. Okay, so the NYPD is looking for a crook who allegedly slashed a 24-year-old man in Woodside. On Friday, March 12th, 5:40 a.m., 24-year-old victim was walking near 67-18 Roosevelt Avenue when he was approached by an unidentified man, according to the police. The man pulled a knife and started waving it at the 24-year-old, police said. After slashing the young man's hand, the attacker stabbed him once in the chest, according to the NYPD. The assailant then ran off on foot in an unknown direction. There was no property taken as a result of the attack. 24-year-old was taken to a nearby hospital by private means. He's expected to survive. NYPD recovered surveillance footage of the unidentified person from a camera nearby the attack. No arrest and the investigation's ongoing. So now we're going to go into the shootings that happened over the weekend here in Queens. So 2 incidents that have been reported. The shooting in Queens Village didn't get that much media attention, but the one in Woodside, again, that's a sad one in Woodside. A 37-year-old mother was killed while she was running an errand. So we'll get into this. Okay, 2 people were gunned down on the streets of Queens between Friday night and Saturday morning. So here we go. First incident, a 37-year-old woman who was a mother was killed by a stray bullet fired outside the Woodside Public housing complex at the corner of 48th Street and Broadway. So, sadly, I know this area too well. Right by Astoria. Officers from the 114th Precinct, they got a 911 call about shots fired, found Gedalia William Thomas of 48th Street unconscious and unresponsive with a gunshot wound to her head. Sadly, the victim was taken to Elmhurst Hospital where she was pronounced dead a short time later. Sources familiar with the investigation believe she was not the intended target of the unknown shooting. Police did not have a description of a possible suspect. So, believe it or not, Queensboro President Donovan Richards issued a statement. This is just the latest and disturbing rise of shootings in our borough. Law enforcement must work hand in hand with our communities in order to make our neighborhoods safer and to make this a reality. We need an expansion of the crisis management system. My heart is with the Gilda Phineas family. My office reached out to her family and we are ready to be a partner in the fight for justice. Then, a few hours later, a shooting happened involving a 24-year-old man in Queens Village. According to police from the 105 precinct, the victim and two other men were sitting inside a Mitsubishi SUV parked in front of a home at 98th Avenue near 219th Street at 12:59 a.m. on Saturday, March 13th, when another vehicle pulled up to the scene. Cops said someone in the second vehicle then pulled out a gun and began firing shots, striking the 24-year-old man in the chest and right arm. Police sources said the two men with the victim were not injured. Following the gunfire, the shooter and the second vehicle fled in an unknown direction. Sadly, the victim was taken to Long Island Jewish Medical Center in New Hyde Park where he was pronounced dead. Police have withheld his identity pending family notification. So, really, really awful, just awful situation with these two shootings that happened over the weekend. And I know I'm going to save this thumbnail because, again, the media really didn't spend that much time on the story in Queens Village. I mean, for crying out loud, what is going on in Queens Village lately? There was a stabbing a few weeks ago with a mentally ill person, and now this. You know, I thought Queens Village was better than this. I really did. But it seems, you know, Queens Village is really going on a downward trend. And I will bring up Jonathan D'Souza from Passengers United. Jonathan, I'm praying for your safety in Queens Village because it's really getting bad over there. And then we have another incident. This time we have a crosswalk collision between a vehicle and a pedestrian left one person dead in Briarwood. So wait a minute, hang on. Okay, this is an epic fail. This did not happen in Fresh Meadows. No. Did I read this article before? No. Alright, so I'll read it. Okay. Authorities reported after being struck and mounting a vehicle hurling onto the windshield, 55-year-old Japuri Prasad, Jamaica Queen, suffered severe injuries and eventually led to his death. So, a car crashed into a pedestrian, apparently due to traffic signal confusion. So here's what happened. This happened on Friday, March 12th at 1:38 p.m. at the intersection of Queens Boulevard and 84th Drive in Briarwood. The District Collision Investigation Squad determined a 33-year-old driver, a female, came to a halt at the red light while traveling southbound at 84th Drive. When the signal turned green, the woman attempted to make a left turn onto eastbound Queens Boulevard when the vehicle and pedestrian collided, as pursuit was crossing the boulevard from south to north on foot. Authorities described the deceased as in the vicinity of a marked crosswalk, which was said to have been flashing a green pedestrian signal. Police from the 107 precinct responded along with EMS, who found Prasad prostrate on the roadway with head trauma. The victim was rushed to Jamaica Hospital Medical Center, where he was sadly pronounced dead 2 days later. The vehicle involved a 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Thankfully, the good news is police reported that the driver did remain on the scene. No arrests have been made. So, likely, if the suspect stayed on the scene, she's likely not going to be charged with anything. Because it's not really a hit and run. If you flee the scene, that's a hit and run. You stay there, suspect stayed for questioning, then, you know, not going to be charged with anything. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is the problem with these out-of-sync traffic lights. Alright, so we have a few more we're going to get into. First story from AM, well, true story, because technically the Queen's Courier did have it on their page too. Alright. 2 men sought for assaulting woman in Manhattan in unprovoked attacks. Cops are looking for 2 men who assaulted women in 2 separate unprovoked attacks in Manhattan. The first incident took place at 12:30 p.m. on March 1st. At this time, an 18-year-old woman was walking in front of 52 East 8th Street when an unknown person hit her with a hard object. The suspect then grabbed the victim by the throat, causing pain and bruising. According to the police, the suspect and victim did not exchange any word prior to the attack. The suspect then fled to the scene to parts unknown. EMS responded, but the victim refused medical attention at the scene. Police released pictures of the suspect, who is described as a man between 30 and 40 years old in age. In an unrelated incident at 4:50 p.m. on March 7th, a 68-year-old woman was walking in the vicinity of 7th Avenue and West 13th Street in Chelsea when she was approached by an unknown man. The man proceeded to punch the woman in the head for no apparent reason, like in the previous case. The NYPD stated that no words were exchanged between the victim and the suspect. The suspect fled the scene on foot southbound on 7th Avenue. The victim suffered pain and bruising but refused medical attention at the scene. The NYPD released a photo and a video of the suspect, who was described between the ages of 20 and 30 years old. So, looks like we have a video of the suspect here. Okay, so I have about 4 more I'm going to read here. Ex-girlfriend questioned a man's fatal stabbing in a Brooklyn apartment. Detectives are questioning a 29-year-old woman after her ex-boyfriend was stabbed to death inside a Brooklyn apartment on March 15th. Officers from the 69th Precinct found the 25-year-old victim stabbed numerous times in the third-floor residence at a building on East 94th Street in Canarsie at 10:11 p.m. last night. Cops said the man had been knifed about his chest and neck. Responding EMS units pronounced him dead at the scene. Police have withheld his identity pending family notification. The victim's ex-girlfriend was at the apartment when police arrived at the location. She was taken into custody. Police sources said the dead man and the woman had a prior history of domestic violence incidents which had required police response. Charges are pending the results of the ongoing investigation, police said. So, likely they're going to name the ex-girlfriend in this case the lead suspect from what this article is presenting. Alright, we're going to stay in Brooklyn because I just got this exclusive article from WABC. We are going to end the video from WABC anyway because I have a video I want to play regarding an anti-Asian attack involving a Karen, believe it or not, who started the whole incident. But let's get into this. College student slashed across hand while walking home in Brooklyn. So WABC had the exclusive last night because I was watching the newscast because Kristen Thorne actually did a good report on a sad incident involving sick puppies at a pet shop in Baldwin. But that's hopefully something Matt Camper or Pine Power Ally could cover. But anyhow, police are looking for a man who slashed a college student across the hand as she was walking home in Brooklyn. The scars left behind are now healing, but a 25-year-old woman who chooses to be identified only as Cindy says it will be a while before she's fully recovered from an attack that also left her emotionally wounded. The victim said, "I couldn't walk in the street at night alone anymore." Police say they're looking for a man caught on surveillance in connection with the February 28th assault near DeKalb Avenue and Skillman Street in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. Cindy says the suspect followed her as she walked home around 11 p.m. When I slowed down, he slowed down. I sped up, he sped up. So, Sad thing is, suspect claimed he got a knife. During a scuffle, Cindy says the suspect cut her hand. She fought him off and ripped off his black mask. Once the mask was taken off, the suspect did run away. Investigators told WABC the suspect ran down on Skillman Street. The suspect wanted in this case is believed to be between his 20s and 30s. So, there you go. 3 criminals posing as delivery men attempt thwarted robbery in the Bronx. So it looks like this robbery was prevented. Cops are seeking the public's assistance in locating 3 men who attempted an apartment robbery in the Bronx by having one male masquerade as a delivery person. According to NYPD sources, the first assailant knocked on the door, declaring himself to be delivering a package. Oh, I want to put this one read later on privately. Believing his subterfuge, a 47-year-old female opened the door only to have his box thrown at her before a second man burst in the apartment, menacing the woman with a firearm while his 2 accomplices waited in the hallway. The incident occurred in the vicinity of Sheridan Avenue and Marcy Place on Tuesday, March 9th at 2:35 p.m. NYPD report that a 57-year-old acquaintance who was present at the victim's home grabbed the gun-wielding assailant, forced him out of the apartment, after which the 3 imposters fled the scene. No property was taken and no injuries occurred, according to the 44th Precinct response. The box carrying... See, every time I see T and B, I'm forced to read the Bronx every time. It's a force of habit. You know what it is. I like Mike's Deli in Belmont, so don't get me thrown off here. The box carrying first assailant is described by authorities as a black man, 20 to 30 years old, of thin build, who was last seen wearing a black coat, blue sweatshirt, and gray sneakers. The second firearmed equipped attacker is described as Hispanic white complexion, who was last seen wearing black pants, black sneakers, with his hair fashioned into a ponytail. So at least the good news is the men did flee the scene. So nothing was taken, which is very good news. Then the third suspect is described as Hispanic white male of average build, last seen in a black coat, black pants, white and black sneakers, and a cap with a red brim. He lingered in the hallway as events unfolded. So it sounds like we have a video of the incident. In the below video, the criminals appear in the following order. The third hole loitering criminal enters first, followed by the fire-brandishing man with the flutter delivery man taking up the rear. And it looks like in this case, all men were wearing face masks. So, for all we know in the future, if these suspects come back, even if they're still on the loose post-pandemic world or any other criminal, wait until you're going to see face masks become a fashionable trend. Because these criminals are going to start to get smarter. You wait and see. Okay. I don't want to read that Shakespeare thing until after I'm done recording this. But it's good that Shakespeare in the Park's coming back. I mean, ugh. How could you not have Shakespeare in the Park for another year? It's an outdoor venue, for crying out loud. Okay, pair wounded in Brooklyn after gunman opens fire in a seafood restaurant. Oh no. Please tell me this is not Sheepshead Bay. Oh, okay, this happened in Brownsville. Oh, right, Channel 7 let off with this last night. Okay, detectives are looking for a gunman who sprayed a Brooklyn seafood restaurant with bullets on Monday, injuring 2 people in the process. Law enforcement sources said the shooting occurred at 5:25 p.m. last night inside Pickin' Seafood at 1670 Pickin Avenue near Bristol Street in Brownsville. According to the police, the 2 victims, a 28-year-old man and a 53-year-old woman, were waiting for food inside the establishment when the shooter walked up the exterior of the location and began firing from the street. Police sources said it's not clear at this point in the investigation whether the victims were the intended target. Police said the man was shot in the foot, while the woman suffered a graze wound to her arm. Second after the shooting, the gunman took off on foot northbound along Chester Street. Okay, so here is some decent news. Officers from the 73rd Precinct and EMS units responded to the scene. Paramedics rushed both victims to Brookfield University Hospital for treatment of injuries that were considered non-life-threatening. So, no arrest has been made. Ongoing investigation. So, a victim of the shooting was quoted. Harriet Mitz said, "Some things will never change around these parts. It is cold and they're still shooting people." Well, I hate to say it. Wait until the weather gets warmer. There's going to be more of this pattern continuing. In the latest trends of anti-Asian attacks, this is so disturbing. And this is another story Safan Kim did talk about the other day. But we will get to the other video that I have for you coming up. Because I have one more article from AM New York I need to get to before I get to that video. But this is so disturbing. In Fresh Meadows, my own neighborhood. So where did this happen? Okay, so it says here, an incident in which an Asian American mother said she was spit on while holding her baby and called the China virus is being investigated as a hate crime. Yes, of course, should be. The woman told police from the 107 precinct that the confrontation occurred, when did this happen? Yeah, it happened on March 9th. Okay. Yes, sometime between 10:30 and 11:30 in broad daylight in or near Casino Corridor Park. Yeah, because in this video, it appears this looks like 186th Street and Peck Avenue. So this is Casino Corridor Park. Yeah. They have a nice playground over there by the District 75 school. Okay, the 25-year-old woman said a man spit in her direction 3 times before calling her a derogatory term. At the Korean Community Services not far from where this allegedly happened, they felt the hate has happened too often. So, just awful. And again, this does happen in the 6th Congressional District. That's Grace Ming's district. I mean, I don't know what else can you say about this. Okay, so they do have okay, police from the 107 precinct are looking for a suspect as a man in his 30s, about 200 pounds, 5'5". Of course. Now, this is very interesting. The Asian Hate Crimes Task Force is investigating as a possible hate crime. So, just awful. Suspects sought for punching man and spouting anti-Asian words in Harlem assault. The NYPD is looking for a suspect who assaulted a man in Harlem in a suspected hate crime last month. According to the police, at 10:10 p.m. on February 15th, a 27-year-old man was in front of Fred Samuel Park on Lenox Avenue in front of... Oh, okay. Was in front of Fred Samuel Park. Okay, on Lenox Avenue between West 49th and 148th Street. As he was walking to his car, an unknown man punched the victim. So, in this sentence, I'm going to bleep it out in the editor. So I'm going to read it, and I quote, "When asked why he was pushed, the suspect said, 'Chinese, go back to China.' The suspect proceeded to punch the victim in the face, causing pain and swelling. The suspect then fled the scene eastbound on West 139th Street. So we do have a video of this incident. So this happened last month, and they're first making this public. Wow. So in this video, it appears the suspect goes into a nearby pharmacy or some kind of supermarket. Here we go. Okay. So, with that, we are going to wrap this up. Once again, I want to end this video showing you an incident involving a Karen supposedly spewing anti-Asian hate. Because again, this epidemic of anti-Asian hate just ain't stopped. You just saw that article. You know, I had to end the video on that. So, without further ado, I'm going to cue the video from WABC TV with an excellent report from Stefan Kim.
Now an Eyewitness News exclusive, it would be easy to describe the avalanche of anti-Asian American hate crimes as the work of ignoramuses, venting their internal vileness for unsuspecting people. But it's happening way too often to just dismiss this as merely blips. America, New York, we have a problem. How to solve it? Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim trying to shine bright lights on all this. He is speaking exclusively with the victims. He's live in the Kips Bay section of Manhattan. Stefan.
Well, Bill, the sad truth is incidents like this happen all the time. They're now just finally getting the attention they deserve because of the focus on anti-Asian bias.
Say that racist again. You said communist China?
Well, isn't that where you're from? Well, isn't that where you're from? Well, isn't that where you're from?
It is the definition of stupidity and hate being spewed on a Manhattan street.
Oh, you're gonna cover your face now. You're ashamed.
Investigators now looking for the woman caught on this cell phone video. It happened yesterday afternoon on the corner of 22nd Street and 1st Avenue. 25-year-old Maria Ha says it started when the woman in the video started following her.
I kind of felt someone looking at me, so I start staring back, and I realized she was looking at me, and she came closer and closer, stared at my eyes.
That's when Ha says the woman got into her face, nose to nose, unprovoked, and then said this.
You're not from here. You're from China, aren't you? Go back to China, is what she said.
She ran home to get her husband. When he arrived, the woman was getting into a cab.
Oh, hell no. Like, there have been way too many of these incidents. So then I just like opened the door. I'm like, did you say that? Did you say that? And then she just started yelling like, oh, you're assaulting me. You're assaulting me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this on video. And
the couple then decided to leave and cross the street. That's when they say she did it again for the entire block to hear.
she opens the window thinking that the cab driver is going to go. And then she yells out, go back to communist China.
Again, does it
Again,
right.
for everyone to hear.
Well, isn't that where you're from?
No, it's not.
Where are you from?
I'm from the U.S.
According to the NYPD, there have been 10 anti-Asian hate crimes this year already, not including this one, compared to 29 during all of 2020. Again, these crimes go underreported. We know so because we've spoken to so many victims who have told us they did not file a police report. These victims, though, are finally speaking up. By the way, neither Maria or Daniel are from China. Their parents are not from China. They are Korean American. The NYPD's Asian Hate Crimes Task Force is investigating.